Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to be doing a tutorial on how to make your own personal use Minecraft 117 or 118 creative mode building server. So if you're a builder like me and you like using all the really good plugins, currently the best public server in existence is Builder's Refuge. However, one issue with it is it's only updated to 1.16.5, and apart from this server, there really isn't any other good ones. And if you want to use the latest plugins like Fast Async World Editor or Voxel on 117 or 118, you're pretty much out of luck. So that leaves you with one option, and that's to make your own Minecraft server. So here you can see my personal 117 server running. This is a very easy thing to do, and there's actually even more reasons why you may want to do this. So if you're like me and you use World Painter or World Machine a lot, you're constantly starting with new maps, and on like a server like Builder's Refuge, you'd have to upload the schematics to the server, which can take a while. If you do that on your own server, it's just a matter of copying a file to a different folder, which is really fast and easy. And you can copy the whole world as well, which is even faster. Um, Additionally, you get unlimited map size and unlimited number of maps. It's pretty much limited by your system. And you get better plugins like you can get Fast Async World Edit, which has super cool commands such as BR copy paste and type replace. Those are things you can't even get in client World Edit. It's also nearly twice as fast as client World Edit. I tested it on I think a 2000 block Taurus, and Fast Async World Edit went nearly double the speed. Besides Fast Async World Edit, there's other really good plugins as well, such as Multiverse, Builders Utilities, GoPaint, GoBrush, Voxel, and Archeon. I'll be going over those more later. I won't be doing tutorials on how to install all of them, but those are the ones I recommend using as they're all really, really good and useful. Now, before you do this, there is one important caveat you should know about, and that's that you need an okay PC at least, I would say. So minimally, you're going to want 4 to 6 core CPU. If you have a 4-core CPU, it's probably pushing it. If it's old, definitely. If it's a newer one, you might be fine. And then in terms of RAM, you're going to want, I would say, more than 16, I would recommend. 8 you could probably get away with, but I would say 16 is recommended. 32 even better, and anything above that is just even better. The more RAM you have, the better. But if you have a PC that's worse than that, you can always just follow the tutorial, and the worst that'll happen is it'll run slower, and you can just delete the server if it's unplayable. So now let's get on to the tutorial. So the first thing you're going to want to do is install PaperMC, which is the main server software you're going to be using. I highly recommend using Paper over Spigot or Bucket because it's faster, and from my experience, it works really well for this. So you're going to go to papermc.io/downloads, paper 1.18, or just go to downloads. If you're doing 117.1, you're going to go here. If you're doing 118, you're going to go here. For this tutorial, I'm going to be doing 118 just because I don't have a 118 server yet, actually. So I'm going to be kind of testing it. Now, before you do 118, please note that at the time of recording this, 118 stuff is still under development and experimental. So just note that. Take frequent backups and stuff. If you're not sure, just do 117 for now. And that, from my experience, 117 using this method works flawlessly. So yeah, just do that. So we're gonna download 118 here, and it's gonna say it's gonna harm your device, but you're just gonna keep it. So yeah, so once you have that, you're gonna make a new folder. Let's just do called server. Save that to desktop. You're then gonna go to your downloads folder, and then you're gonna put this on your desktop. You're gonna put it in here, and then you're gonna run this jar. Now you should have Java installed already. If you don't, there's tutorials on how to install that. And then once you run it, you can see it'll start making these files here. and believe now it's done. So next thing you have to do is agree to the EULA. So here, if you double click on EULA.txt, it opens up a notepad file. You're going to remove that and type true, and then save that, Control S, and exit out. And now when you run it, it should run again. So when you run the jar again, it's going to make all these configuration files. Now, for now, we're just going to leave those there. But what we need to do is make a better way of running it. So currently when you run it, unless you type out the whole command every time, you can't allocate the recommended amount of RAM and stuff. So what you need to probably really want to do is make a new document that'll let you run the server just by clicking it. And what that'll be is a .bat file. So with this file, you can name it whatever you want. I typically do start.bat, and that's that. And then when you click enter, it'll say, it'll ask you this, and click yes. And then open this with a text editor. And what you're going to paste in is very specific to what your system has. So you're going to look at this bat file here. You see it's named this. So you're going to copy this message right here. And then you're going to paste it here. So this will be in the description, but you want to make sure this is exactly the same as this, including the .jar. This is the same as this here. And if it's not, you won't be able to run it. Now, the second thing that you'll have to do is allocate the recommended amount of RAM. If you have under 16 gigabytes of RAM, I don't recommend going over a half. So if you have 16, do 8. And the left one, by the way, is the starting amount of RAM, which is like what it'll start with. And then this is the maximum amount of RAM, which is like the highest it can go to. So this one's more important. So if you have 16, don't go over 8, I'd say, for this. You can get away with even less, actually. It really doesn't matter because it's a personal server, but if you like screwing around and doing like trying to crash it or whatever, I'd recommend going higher. Since I have 64 gigabytes, and how you can check is if you right click here, go to Task Manager, Performance, Memory, and it'll tell you here. Since I have 64 gigabytes, I can go as high as, say, probably 50 gigabytes. The more RAM you have, the higher you can go past half. So if you have like 64 gigabytes, I'd say you could go up to like 50. If you have like 32 gigabytes, you probably want to go up to like 20. If you have 16 though, you probably don't want to go over 8. For this server, I'm going to be doing 32 since it's the amount that I used in my old server, and that one worked really well. So I'm just going to save this, Control S, and exit out. So now that we have a start.bat, you can double click it here, and it'll start the server up with the right amount of RAM. So here we have the server running. Another nice thing about Paper is it gives you this cool kind of graph showing like usage and stuff. It's just a really nice software, and I like it. So once your server is started up, you'll see it's giving you a command prompt here where you can type. Now the first thing you're going to want to do is enable the whitelist. So that's on, whitelist on, and now the whitelist is turned on. Now, I mean, obviously this is your own server and you haven't even port forwarded it, and this tutorial won't even do port forwarding. So it really doesn't matter, but it's still good to have a whitelist in case you do port forward it eventually and you forget. And there's other tutorials on how to do that, but let's say you forget to turn the whitelist on and now your server's public without a whitelist, and now you have a problem. So I would always recommend turning it on regardless of whether it's a private or public server. So the next thing you're going to want to do is op yourself. So you're going to type op and then your name. My account is named Snowcoal, so now Snowcoal is a server operator. And also you want to whitelist yourself, which is whitelist add Snowcoal. And that adds me to the whitelist now. So now if I start up the game, and actually I'm going to start it with the normal one. So, well, now that I have the game started, as you can see here, now we have to add the server, and it's actually very easy to do. If you leave the port as the default, which is the default, I didn't ever touch it in the tutorial, unless you're running more than one server at the same time, just leave it as default. Now, if you do that, you can just type localhost and done, and that's all you have to do. And it'll appear down here. Let's just make sure that's, yep, that's the one. Now if you log into it, you can then join the server and it'll start you in a new survival world. Now, currently we don't have any plugins, so you can't do anything. So now I'm going to install plugins, and before that you want to always stop the server before doing anything, otherwise it might give you errors. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Disconnect. We're going to leave the game running because there's no need to stop it. But now you just type stop and it'll cleanly stop the server. You always want to do that. So now for plugins, first one you're going to want to download is Fast Async World Edit. You're going to click download now on this site. Now the website you go to is Spigot. I'll have this in the description, but you're going to go to this site specifically, click download now, and then if you're doing 1.16 or 1.17 or 1.17, you're going to download this one, the bucket one right here. If you're doing 1.18, you're going to download this one. And keep in mind it is a snapshot, so it may or may not work well. But if you don't want to deal with that, just do 1.17 at the time of posting this, and then do 1.18 later when you feel like it. So next plugin we're going to download is Multiverse. Now this works fine in 1.17. People have said in the comments it works in 1.18, so I'm going to try it. Okay, so now that you've downloaded your files, now what you're going to do is go to your server folder, which is here on the desktop. You're going to go to plugins, and you're just going to copy and paste these into there. So you can just drag them in like that. And now when you start the server, and remember to start the server, you just double click on the bat file and the plugins should load. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is various other plugins you might want. Now all of these should work in 1.17. I hadn't had any issues. They may work in 1.18, but that's for you to figure out. I'm not going to show how to install all of these, but the process is exactly the same. Basically, you just go to the website, download the jar, put it into this server plugins folder, then run the server, and it should load the plugin. Make sure you download the right version, obviously. And I'm also not going to do tutorials on all of these, but if you want really good tutorials on how to use pretty much all the plugins I mentioned, you can go to Horace Altman's YouTube channel, and he just makes really good tutorials on how to use various plugins. They're just super in depth, and like they just go really in depth on very specific stuff that you definitely will want to find, and it'll make your building much faster and more efficient using these different plugins. So the first plugin I'd highly recommend is Builder's Utilities. This one adds a bunch of really good shortcut commands, such as //1 and //2 for position 1 and position 2. There's stuff like secret blocks, if you can see here, banner generator, armor generator. You got no clip, like just night vision toggle, just different things that are super useful for building, and I'd recommend having. Next plugin is Voxel Sniper, and it's basically a terraforming plugin. It allows you to build terrain very easily in different directions. It's kind of like World Painter. It allows you to like pull and push terrain around, but you can go in different directions, not just up and down, and it's pretty cool. The next one is Go Paint. This one allows you to paint kind of like the World Edit brush. It's very similar to the World Edit brush, and however it can also do a gradient brush, and it's a lot simpler to use, I guess, because it has a GUI based system. So you just put blocks where you want them, and then there's tutorials on this obviously, but it allows you to paint much faster than typing out a bunch of world edit commands, which is nice. And the next one is GoBrush. Now this one is pretty much World Painter, but in a plugin form. It basically just allows you to generate terrain very fast. It's super useful. I don't really use this one much because I typically use World Painter for all this, but a lot of people do use it if you don't want to use World Painter. So finally, we have Ace Arceon, and this one is a paid plugin. I happen to have it, but it has a bunch of very like specific tools that are quite useful, such as this one, which is pretty cool, that allows you to generate arches instantly. I'm not going to share the download for it because I can't, but I recommend supporting him. It's like $15 a month, which is quite steep, I'd say, but it's a very good plugin. He also makes the Builder's Utilities plugin, so you're supporting him here too. It's just a really good plugin, and I'd recommend it. And yeah, he also makes GoBrush and GoPaint. So this guy makes a ton of plugins, and you really should support him. So yeah, that's all for the plugins. Again, to download each one, just download the file, put it into the folder, and start the server, and it should work. So now what I'm going to be doing is showing you how to add an existing world to your server. So this is something I do all the time, especially if you make a new server, you want to move all your worlds to it. This is the best way I've found to do it. Now, the first thing, it requires starting and restarting the server multiple times, but that's just the way it is. If you don't do it this way, you may run into issues where Multiverse won't detect that the world exists, and then it won't like work pretty much. But this is the most consistent way that I've found to do it. So once you start the server, you're gonna join it. So now you have access to your multiverse commands. So if you do mv list, it'll show your current worlds. If you do mvtp and then the name, you can TP there. For now, we're just gonna make a new one, which is /mv create, and then whatever you want to name it. I'm gonna name it m mountains, just mountains, whatever you want, and then normal, since you want to make it a normal world and not the end or the nether. So I mean, yeah, so once it's complete, then you're going to disconnect from the server. I'm going to stop the server since you're editing the server's files now, and it will save the chunks and then close itself. So now what you're going to want to do is go into your Minecraft saves folder, and you're going to find the world that you want to move. Now I want to move this one. If you're doing 117, you want to make sure the world was last loaded on 117. If you're doing 118, you want to make sure the world was last loaded on 118. If you don't do that, then it won't work. So then you're going to go to your server folder, which is here, and when you notice you did mv create, it'll make a new folder named mountains, which is what I named the world. If you go to this, it'll have some stuff in there, and we don't want that, so you're just going to delete it, and you're going to go to your spiky mountains world, which is the one I want to move, and you're going to paste it in. Then once it's pasted in, then you can go back to your server, go to the start.bat again, run the server, and once the server starts, then you can go join it again. So now if you do mv list, you'll see mountains is in there. So you're going to do mvtp mountains, and if you did it right, So now I have to fly there, but as you can see, here's my world that I pasted in. Sometimes it'll teleport you to a weird location. Let's just full screen this. Yeah, sometimes it'll teleport you to a weird location, but here's the world. I attempted to do this using a 117 world as well prior to recording, and that failed completely, and it basically reset it. So do not delete any old worlds you move. Again, 1.18 is still in an experimental stage, so you could have any number of issues with this. So, like, just be warned. Make sure you're backing up, copying, do whatever you need to do to make sure that your world doesn't get deleted permanently. But yeah, here's how you move a world onto your new server. And let's say I want to do a world edit command just to demo. Set a position. Fill that with gold block. Whoops. Set. So now, just to show you it works. And we'll undo that. So yeah, that's all for multiverse. That's pretty much the basics. Oh, and again, what you're going to want to do, I almost forgot. Let's change to creative. You're going to want to make sure the world defaults to creative mode. So again, this is done with mvm set mode creative. And you're going to want to do this for each new creative mode world you make. Otherwise, when you join it, you may end up in survival. But yeah. So the last tutorial I'm going to give is how to get your any old schematics you might have onto the new server. So here in this folder, I have my old server open. Basically, the folder you're going to go to where you're going to paste them is plugins. And then here I have all my plugins for my 117 server. And you're going to go to fast async world edit and then schematics. And I'm just going to take all of these. And then here we have the new server, which is located on the desktop. You're going to go to plugins, fast async world edit, schematics, and paste them in. And the same goes for any other schematic you might have. Just paste it into here. And it's very easy. And they should all load in the game. So the last two things I'm going to talk about is how you would want, if you want, how you would make the server public to other computers on your network, which is basically your home Wi-Fi, or how you'd want to make the server public so people outside your Wi-Fi can use it. Now, if you do this, note that you will probably also want to mess with permissions so that other people don't screw up your worlds. I'm not going to do a tutorial on that because I've actually never done it. I just use it for personal use. But if you want to make the world public or the server public for people on the same network on a different computer, which is like LAN, you're going to want to go into the Windows Defender firewall and allow the connections. Now, I'm not going to do a full tutorial on this, but I'm just letting you know this is what you have to find. There's other tutorials that explain how to do this. Pretty much look up any Minecraft server tutorial, and the way it works is exactly the same. You just set this up. Now, the last thing is if you want to make your server public so other people outside your Wi-Fi can use it, you're going to have to go into your router settings and port forward the server. You also may want to buy a domain for the server. Those two things can be much more in depth, so I'm not going to go into that. There's other tutorials on that as well. But yeah, that's what you have to do if you want to make other people able to connect to it. But just for now, if you connect, for now, all you can do is connect on the same computer if you just follow what's in this tutorial. So yeah, that's about it. If you like the tutorial, please like it and share it. I think this is something that a lot of people would want to do, but don't actually know that you can do this easily and get all the best plugins this easily, pretty much for free. And yeah, I think that a lot of people would find this useful, especially if you're a builder in creative mode. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, have a nice day.